So why are you at the Yellow Boards protest today?
I first became actively involved with this when they started to talk about children, because I think that is just a dreadful thing to do. It's evil. Children do not need these, and they are causing more and more deaths and harm. So that's why I'm actually here, because when I should be sitting at home reading a good book.
And what do you think about the not just in children but just overall?
I think it's very much a personal choice. Personally, I would not want to have them. I've gone into it, I've read all the information I can find, and there's not that much actual data or proper information that tells you what's in. We don't even know what's in them, do we? We don't know what's inside in these. So I decided that even though I am supposedly in the vulnerable group, I'm reasonably healthy, and I didn't think it was right for me. So no, I'm not. But I think that people that feel they should be allowed to do it. But I certainly don't think that it should be imposed on me. Where there is risk, there has to be choice.
And how do you feel about the mainstream coverage throughout it?
I don't think I want to use that sort of language.
What mainstream?
The sort of language I would use about mainstream, they have totally ignored it. There is a total blackout, and I just cannot believe it. I just can't believe that they could do such a thing, that they could just ignore, that they could call a protest outside the BBC where there's tens of thousands, and they say it's a few hundred. How they can ignore all the nurses and doctors and anaesthetists and health workers that turned up and laid their uniforms outside number 10, and still no coverage. No, I gave up reading newspapers. I gave up watching the television, ITV, BBC, all of them, in about October 2020. So again, I haven't been brainwashed, I suppose, because I haven't absorbed all the rubbish that they've been putting out.
And how do you feel about the U-turn on restrictions currently?
I think it's very much needed, but as someone here was telling me, whose wife is a nurse, she is still going to be fired because it hasn't yet been ratified, and until it's ratified, everybody's job is under the axe.
And how do you feel about the NHS workers being fired?
The same way as I feel about the care workers being fired. Absolutely. If the worked, then yes, fine. But they don't work, do they? They're neither safe nor effective. So you cannot force people to have these to do this to the nurses and frontline people that have worked all the way through. It's just crazy. I think that is half the trouble. When you start looking into it, the whole business is so illogical, yet people can't see it.
And how do you feel about the cover-up of that are happening because of
Well, I'm just very angry. I actually try to tell as many people as I can. I keep up to date on UK Column because they always have the yellow card system there. I have a look at the fairs in America whenever I can. The numbers involved now are so enormous that we have to, it's got to be taken notice of. We'll get there. We will get there.
And how do you feel about mandates of etc.?
They should be abolished. Totally, completely. I think the emergency system that the government has got to impose these laws should be abolished immediately. It comes up again in March in the House of Commons. It must never go through again. And once that's stopped, then I think we can all breathe a little easier. I hope so.
How do you feel about how the police have treated protesters in London and other places if you've had police interactions?
Well, I wasn't aware that there were any massive problems with people demonstrating weather.
Yeah, I do have footage of police making people bleed and with arrests and everything like that in Trafalgar
there
Square.
have been outbreaks of that sort of thing, haven't there? But I thought that had now calmed down an awful
yeah,
lot.
they have.
And that, in fact, I heard that the police are actually getting more and more sympathetic, but not in a natural position to move themselves yet. Hopefully they will join. I'm just hoping that this convoy that's starting out today from all over the country, I'm just hoping that that is going to be as good as the Canadian one.
Yeah. And how do you feel about Charles?
Well, I've already said,
Yeah.
I am totally opposed to child. There's too much harm. They do far more harm than any good. And I don't honestly believe they do any good.
Do you believe that children will be traumatised in their later life because they haven't been able to see people's facial expressions?
It's bound to have a huge effect on not just children. I mean, there's adults now who are suffering all sorts of mental problems. So yes, there's the knock-on effect, economic, emotional, every possible which way is just huge.
Thank you.